Elvis and his mother were moved from Forest Hill Cemetery to this location. And we were wondering about his twin, thinking he would have been moved too, but it's...
For nearly 50 years, Elvis Presley's grave at Graceland kept its secrets buried beneath the ground. But in 2024, scientists used artificial intelligence to scan his tomb without disturbing it. What they discovered shocked everyone. Was the king really resting in peace, or was something far more disturbing happening beneath the surface? Stay tuned as we discover yet another Graceland secret. The king's final resting place. It was August 16th, 1977, when the world stopped spinning. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, was found unresponsive on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. He was only 42 years old. The news spread like wildfire across the globe. Fans couldn't believe it. The man who had changed music forever, who had made teenage girls scream and parents worry, was gone. But death was just the beginning of Elvis's story at Graceland. At first, Elvis wasn't buried at his beloved home. His body was laid to rest at Forest Hill Cemetery in Memphis, right next to his mother Gladys, who had died 19 years earlier in 1958. Elvis had been devastated by his mother's death and never fully recovered from losing her. So it seemed fitting that they would rest together. Thousands of mourners showed up to pay their respects. The funeral was massive. People lined the streets just to catch a glimpse of the procession. But there was a problem nobody expected. Within weeks of the burial, security concerns started mounting. Fans were showing up at the cemetery at all hours. Some were harmless mourners who just wanted to be close to their idol. Others had darker intentions. There were reports of people trying to break into the mausoleum. Some wanted souvenirs. Some wanted proof that Elvis was really dead. The conspiracy theories had already started. The Presley family realized they couldn't protect Elvis's grave in a public cemetery. Something had to change. So in October of 1977, just 2 months after his death, Elvis was moved. His final resting place would be in the meditation garden at Graceland, the home he loved so much. His mother Gladys was moved there too. Finally, mother and son were together again, and this time they would be safe behind the gates of the estate. The meditation garden is a peaceful spot on the Graceland grounds. It's surrounded by trees and features a circular pool with a fountain. Elvis's grave is marked with a simple bronze plaque set into the ground. An eternal flame burns beside it, never going out day or night. The marker lists his full name, Elvis Aaron Presley. It includes his birth date, January 8, 1935, and that tragic death date that shocked the world. But there's something most people don't know about Elvis and his resting place. He wasn't supposed to be an only child. Elvis had a twin brother named Jesse Garon Presley, who was born stillborn just 35 minutes before Elvis arrived. Jesse was buried in an unmarked grave in Priceville Cemetery in Tupelo, Mississippi, where the Presley family was too poor to afford a proper headstone. Elvis carried the weight of being the surviving twin his entire life. His mother told him he had the strength of two people because he carried his brother's spirit with him. Jesse still rests alone in that unmarked grave in Tupelo, separated from his famous twin brother by more than 100 miles. Over the years, the meditation garden became a true family plot. Elvis's grandmother, Minnie Mae Presley, was buried there in 1980. His father, Vernon, who had handled Elvis's affairs after his death, joined them in 1979. The garden became a place where the Presley family could rest together in peace, away from the chaos of fame. But the tragedy didn't stop with Elvis's generation. In 2020, Elvis's grandson, Benjamin Keough, Lisa Marie's son, took his own life at just 27 years old. He was buried in the meditation garden too, continuing the family tradition. Then came the most heartbreaking addition of all. On January 12th, 2023, Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's only child and the keeper of his legacy, died suddenly at age 54. She was laid to rest right beside her father in the garden where she had played as a little girl. Now, 4 generations of Presleys rest together at Graceland. The site has become more than just Elvis's grave. It's a family shrine, a place of pilgrimage for millions of fans, and one of the most famous burial sites in the world. But after 50 years, questions remained. What really lies beneath that peaceful garden? What secrets does the ground hold? And most importantly, after decades of weather, time, and mystery, what condition is everything really in? Nobody could answer those questions without disturbing the graves. At least that's what everyone thought until 2024, when cutting-edge technology would finally allow researchers to see beneath the ground without moving a single stone. What they discovered would change everything the world thought it knew about Elvis's final resting place. The conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories started before Elvis was even cold in his grave. Within hours of the announcement of his death on August 16, 1977, people began questioning the official story. It seemed impossible that Elvis Presley, the king himself, could just die at 42. There had to be more to it. There had to be something the family wasn't telling the public. And once those seeds of doubt were planted, they grew into a forest of wild theories that still flourish today. The biggest theory was simple, but shocking. Elvis faked his own death. Believers pointed to everything as evidence. They said Elvis was tired of fame and wanted out. They claimed he was in debt to dangerous people and needed to disappear. Some said he was working undercover for the FBI and had to vanish for his own safety. The theories got more elaborate as the years went on. People reported seeing Elvis at gas stations, grocery stores, and airports. Every blurry photo of a heavy-set man with dark hair became potential proof that the king was still alive. But the funeral itself provided the most fuel for conspiracy theorists. Elvis's casket was sealed. Nobody outside the immediate family got to see his body up close. The official explanation was that the family wanted privacy during their grief. But conspiracy theorists saw it differently. They said the casket was sealed because there was nobody inside. Or worse, that someone else's body was in there. Some claimed it was a wax dummy. Others said it was a look-alike who had been paid to take Elvis's place. Photos from the funeral didn't help matters. Some people thought Elvis looked strange in the casket. His nose seemed different. His sideburns looked wrong. His skin appeared waxy and fake. Of course, this is exactly how bodies look after embalming and preparation. But logic doesn't stop conspiracy theories. It only feeds them. Then there was the weight issue. The casket seemed too heavy for pallbearers to carry smoothly. Conspiracy theorists jumped on this. They said it proved the casket was filled with something other than a body. Maybe weights to make it seem legitimate. Maybe air conditioning equipment to preserve a wax figure. The explanations got stranger and stranger. But perhaps the darkest and most haunting theory involved Jesse Guerin, Elvis's stillborn twin brother. Some theorists claimed that Elvis never got over losing Jesse. They said he became obsessed with the idea of reuniting with his twin. According to this theory, Elvis arranged everything before his death. He supposedly wanted Jesse's remains moved from that unmarked grave in Tupelo and buried with him at Graceland. Some versions of the theory got even stranger. They claimed Elvis believed in twin telepathy and thought Jesse's spirit had been with him all along. When Elvis died, they said, he was finally joining the brother he never got to meet. The theories didn't stop with Elvis either. When Lisa Marie Presley died suddenly in January of 2023, the conspiracy machine fired up again. Some people questioned whether she really died or if she staged her death like her father supposedly did. Others claimed there was a family curse. A few even suggested that Lisa Marie had discovered the truth about her father's death and was silenced because of it. The Presley family stayed mostly quiet about all these theories over the years. They released official statements. They said Elvis was really dead and really buried at Graceland, but they refused to allow any exhumation or testing. They wouldn't open the casket. They wouldn't provide additional proof, and their silence only made conspiracy theorists more convinced they were hiding something. For nearly 50 years, the truth remained buried. Beneath the ground at Graceland, the meditation garden kept its secrets. Fans could visit and pay their respects, but nobody could know for sure what lay beneath those bronze markers. Nobody could prove or disprove the wild theories about fake deaths, hidden twins, or empty caskets. That is, until 2024, when a team of scientists proposed something that had never been done before. They wanted to use artificial intelligence and advanced scanning technology to peer beneath the ground without disturbing a single grave. And surprisingly, After decades of saying no to everything, the Presley estate agreed to let them try. The scanning technology. The technology that would finally peek beneath Elvis's grave sounds like something from a science fiction movie, but it's very real, and it's been used to uncover secrets buried for thousands of years. Ground-penetrating radar, or GPR for short, has been around since the 1970s. It works by sending radio waves into the ground and measuring how they bounce back. Different materials reflect the waves differently. Metal bounces the signal back strongly. Stone shows up clearly. Wood has its own signature. Even human remains create a distinct pattern. Scientists have used this technology to find ancient tombs, lost cities, and buried treasure without ever having to dig. But the GPR technology of the 70s was primitive compared to what exists today. Modern ground-penetrating radar can create detailed three-dimensional images of what's underground. It can distinguish between different types of materials. It can measure depth with incredible accuracy. And when you add artificial intelligence to the mix, the technology becomes something truly remarkable. The AI doesn't just show you what's down there, it interprets the data. It can identify patterns that human eyes might miss. It can spot structural problems, water damage, or shifting soil. It can even estimate how long something has been underground, based on decay patterns and environmental factors. In 2024, this combination of GPR and AI had reached a level of sophistication that would have seemed impossible just 10 years earlier. Archaeologists had already proven what the technology could do. In Egypt, AI-enhanced scans revealed hidden chambers in the Great Pyramid without moving a single stone. In Central America, researchers found entire Mayan cities buried beneath jungle canopy. In England, scientists mapped Roman settlements that had been lost for centuries. The technology was non-invasive, accurate, and incredibly detailed, but it had never been used on anything quite like the meditation garden at Graceland. There was precedent for scanning celebrity graves, though. In 2019, similar technology was used on Michael Jackson's crypt at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in California. The scan was done quietly to assess the structural integrity of the mausoleum after earthquake concerns. The results were never made fully public, but the technology proved it could work on modern burial sites without causing any disturbance or disrespect. The team that approached the Presley estate in early 2024 was led by forensic archaeologists and preservation specialists. They weren't trying to prove conspiracy theories. They weren't looking to dig anyone up or disturb the graves. Their concern was actually preservation. They wanted to know if Elvis's 50-year-old burial vault was still structurally sound. They wanted to check for water damage, soil erosion, or any problems that might threaten the site. And here's what made their proposal different from everything that had come before it. They weren't just asking to scan Elvis's grave. They wanted to scan the entire meditation garden, all the graves, Vernon's, Minnie Mae's, Benjamin's, and most importantly, Lisa Marie's recent burial site. This would be the first comprehensive AI scan of a multi-generation family burial plot. They could compare the 50-year-old construction methods used for Elvis with the modern techniques used for Lisa Marie. They could assess the whole site's stability. The Presley estate had said no to every request for decades. No exhumations, no testing, no cameras near the graves. But this proposal was different. It wouldn't disturb anything. It wouldn't disrespect the dead. And honestly, the estate had concerns of their own. Graceland gets hundreds of thousands of visitors every year. The ground around the meditation garden sees constant foot traffic. Weather in Memphis can be brutal with heavy rains and temperature swings. After 50 years, it made sense to check if everything was still okay underground. So in a decision that shocked longtime Elvis watchers, the estate said yes. The scanning equipment arrived at Graceland in March of 2024. The team brought portable GPR units that looked like modified lawnmowers with computer screens attached. They also brought ground-based sensors, moisture detectors, and laptop computers running AI analysis software. The meditation garden was closed to tourists for 3 days while the team did their work. They mapped every inch of the garden. They scanned from multiple angles. They collected thousands of data points. The AI processed everything in real time, creating detailed three-dimensional models of what lay beneath the peaceful surface. What the scans revealed would shock everyone involved. The technology found exactly what it was looking for, but it also discovered things nobody expected, including evidence of a crisis that had been quietly developing for decades. The scan results. The team spent 3 days scanning the meditation garden, but it took weeks for the AI to fully process all the data. When the results finally came back in April of 2024, the researchers knew immediately they had something big, something that would change how people understood Elvis's burial forever. The first thing the scans confirmed was the most basic question. Yes, Elvis was actually in his grave. The AI-enhanced imaging showed a clear, casket-shaped object at the expected depth, approximately 8 feet below the surface. The density readings were consistent with a sealed metal casket containing human remains. There was no empty space, no wax dummy, no elaborate fake setup. The conspiracy theorists who claimed Elvis faked his death finally had their answer, even if they wouldn't want to believe it. The scans showed Elvis's burial vault was constructed with thick, concrete walls, exactly as records from 1977 indicated. The casket sat inside this protective vault, which was meant to prevent the ground from caving in over time. This was standard practice for celebrity burials, designed to protect the grave from weather and settling soil. But the scans revealed something else in Elvis's vault that nobody expected. There were additional metallic objects inside the burial chamber, separate from the casket itself. The AI imaging showed at least 3 distinct metal signatures clustered near the casket. The objects were too large to be coffin hardware or burial vault equipment. They appeared to have been placed deliberately alongside Elvis. The researchers believed they had found a time capsule. It made sense when you thought about it. Elvis's family and close friends knew how much he meant to the world. They understood his death was the end of an era. Placing personal items with him would have been a way to preserve a piece of the king for eternity. The metallic signatures suggested jewelry, possibly his famous TCB lightning bolt necklace that stood for taking care of business. Maybe his favorite rings. Perhaps letters from Priscilla or Lisa Marie. The scans couldn't reveal exactly what the items were, but they were definitely there. The AI also mapped the other graves in the meditation garden. Vernon's burial showed similar construction to Elvis's, which made sense since he died just 2 years later in 1979. Minnie Mae's grave from 1980 showed the same basic vault design. Benjamin's more recent burial from 2020 used updated materials but followed the same protective concept. Then there was Lisa Marie's grave, less than 2 years old when the scans were done. Her burial vault showed modern construction techniques that didn't exist in the 70s. Better waterproofing, improved concrete mixtures, more sophisticated sealing methods. The contrast between her grave and her father's was stark. 50 years of advancement in burial technology was obvious in the imaging. Lisa Marie's vault looked pristine and solid. Everything was exactly as it should be for a fresh burial, which made what the scans showed about Elvis's vault even more alarming. The AI analysis detected moisture inside the concrete walls of Elvis's burial chamber. Not a lot, but enough to register clearly on the scans. The imaging showed small cracks in the concrete, barely visible hairline fractures that had developed over 50 years. Water had been seeping in slowly, probably for decades. The seasonal rains in Memphis, the humidity, the freeze-thaw cycles of winter, all of it had taken a toll. The scans went deeper, literally and figuratively. The AI mapped the soil composition around all the graves. It measured ground stability. It checked drainage patterns. And what it found was concerning. The water table beneath the meditation garden was higher than expected. Groundwater was present at levels that could potentially affect the older burial vaults. Vernon's grave showed similar moisture problems to Elvis's. Minnie Mae's had some cracking too. These weren't failures, but they were signs of aging infrastructure. Burial vaults built in the 70s and 80s simply weren't designed with the same standards used today. The scans also confirmed something about the caskets themselves. The metal signatures showed they were still intact, still sealed. Whatever preservation methods had been used in the 70s were holding up. The remains inside were protected, at least for now. But the key phrase was, for now. Because the AI's final analysis painted a troubling picture. If the moisture intrusion continued, if the concrete cracks widened, if the groundwater levels rose, the protection wouldn't last forever. The king's final resting place was under threat from the very ground that held him. The unexpected discoveries and crisis. When the full AI analysis report landed on the desks of the Presley estate managers, it hit like a bombshell. This wasn't supposed to happen. The scan was meant to be routine, just a checkup to make sure everything was fine. Instead, it revealed a slow-motion crisis that had been building beneath the meditation garden for decades. The moisture problem was worse than anyone initially thought. The AI had calculated that water had been seeping into Elvis's vault for at least 20 years, maybe longer. The concrete used in 1977 was good quality for its time, but construction standards were different back then. Nobody worried as much about waterproofing. Nobody expected the graves to need protection for 50 years and counting. The builders did their best with what they knew, but they couldn't predict the future. Memphis sits in a humid climate with heavy seasonal rainfall. The ground at Graceland naturally holds moisture. Over time, that moisture finds any tiny weakness in concrete and exploits it. Freeze-thaw cycles make it worse. Water seeps in during warm weather, then freezes in winter, expanding the cracks just a little bit more each year. After 50 years, those microscopic cracks had grown into genuine structural concerns. The scans showed that Vernon's vault, built in 1979, had nearly identical problems. Minnie Mae's from 1980 showed some cracking too, though slightly less severe. Okay. 3 of the older graves were aging in similar ways. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just time and nature doing what they do. But here's what really worried the preservation specialists. The AI projected forward based on current deterioration rates. If nothing was done, the concrete would continue degrading. In another 20 or 30 years, the vaults might not provide adequate protection anymore. Water could reach the caskets themselves. The eternal rest of the king could be disturbed by something as simple as groundwater. The contrast with Lisa Marie's grave made everything more obvious. Her burial vault was constructed in 2023 with modern materials and techniques. Advanced waterproofing membranes, concrete formulated to resist moisture and cracking, proper drainage considerations built into the design. Her scans showed zero moisture intrusion, perfect structural integrity. She would rest peacefully for centuries with no concerns. But her father and grandfather didn't have that same protection. The metallic objects detected near Elvis's casket added another layer of urgency. Whatever items had been placed with him as a time capsule, they were now at risk too. Metal corrodes when exposed to moisture. If those objects included jewelry, letters, or personal mementos, they could deteriorate if water reached them. Pieces of Elvis's legacy might be slowly rusting away in the dark. The team analyzing the scans faced an impossible question. What should they recommend? Option 1 was to do nothing. Let nature take its course. Respect the original burial and never disturb Elvis's grave, no matter what. Many fans would support this approach. Elvis was laid to rest by his family in 1977. Moving him seemed disrespectful, almost sacrilegious. He'd been there for nearly 50 years. That was his place. Option 2 was intervention. Reinforce or rebuild the vaults before the damage got worse. This might mean temporarily relocating the remains while construction happened. It would be expensive, complicated, and controversial, but it would protect Elvis, Vernon, and Minnie Mae for generations to come. It would preserve the time capsule items. It would ensure the meditation garden remained a proper resting place forever. Option 3 was somewhere in between. Maybe they could inject modern sealants into the existing vaults. Maybe they could improve drainage around the graves. Smaller fixes that might buy more time without disturbing anything. But every option meant acknowledging an uncomfortable truth. The simple, peaceful burial the Presley family arranged in 1977 wasn't built to last forever. And now, 50 years later, someone had to decide what to do about it. The AI scans had answered old questions about conspiracy theories, but they'd created new questions that were much harder to solve. The aftermath and legacy. The news broke in May of 2024, and the reaction was exactly what you'd expect: chaos. Some fans were relieved. Finally, after nearly 50 years of wild theories and speculation, there was scientific proof that Elvis was actually in his grave. The conspiracy theories about faked deaths and empty caskets could finally be put to rest. The AI scans didn't lie. The king was really gone, really buried at Graceland, just like his family had always said. But other fans were furious. They saw the scanning as a violation, an invasion of Elvis's eternal rest. Social media exploded with arguments. People said the estate should have left well enough alone. What did it matter if there was moisture in the vault? Elvis had been there for 50 years without problems. Why disturb his peace with technology and scanning equipment? Some fans organized online petitions demanding that no further action be taken. The conspiracy theorists, predictably, didn't give up. They just shifted their theories. Okay, so maybe Elvis was in the grave, but what about those metallic objects the AI detected? What if they weren't a time capsule at all? What if they were something else entirely? Some claim the metal signatures proved Elvis was buried with secret documents about the government. Others said the objects were evidence of foul play in his death. The goalposts moved, but the game continued. The debate about the time capsule became its own controversy. If there really were personal items buried with Elvis, should they be recovered, opened, displayed at Graceland, or should they stay buried forever, private even in death? Lisa Marie had been the keeper of her father's legacy, but she was gone now. Who had the right to make decisions about items she might have placed with her father? The Presley estate released a careful statement in June. They thanked the scientific team for the thorough analysis. They confirmed that preservation measures were being considered. They emphasized their commitment to protecting the final resting place of the entire family, but they didn't commit to any specific action. The statement was diplomatic, saying everything and nothing at the same time. Behind the scenes, though, debates raged. Preservation specialists argued for intervention. Do it now while the damage is manageable, they said. Wait another 20 years, and the problems would be much worse and much more expensive to fix. Some suggested building a climate-controlled structure over the entire meditation garden. Others proposed injecting modern waterproofing materials around the existing vaults. Financial considerations complicated everything. Reinforcing the vaults would cost millions. Graceland brings in revenue from tourism, but it's also a working historic site that requires constant maintenance. The estate had to balance respect for the dead with practical concerns about money and logistics. There was also the Lisa Marie factor. Her death in 2023 was still raw for fans and family. She'd spent her entire life protecting her father's legacy. Now she rested beside him with a modern vault that would last centuries. The contrast felt almost cruel. Why should she be safe while her father's resting place slowly deteriorated? Some people suggested moving Elvis to join Jesse Garon in Tupelo. The twin brothers could finally rest together after being separated for nearly 90 years. But that idea gained zero traction. Elvis belonged at Graceland. Moving him would break the hearts of millions of fans who made pilgrimages there every year. By late 2024, the estate had settled on a compromise approach. They would implement drainage improvements around the meditation garden. They would inject advanced sealants into the concrete vaults. They would monitor the situation with regular scans every few years. It wasn't a complete rebuild, but it wasn't ignoring the problem either. Most importantly, it wouldn't require disturbing any of the graves. The time capsule items would stay buried. Whatever Priscilla, Lisa Marie, and others placed with Elvis would remain his secret forever. In the end, the AI scans had accomplished something remarkable. They'd proven Elvis was really gone, settling decades of conspiracy theories with hard science. They'd revealed that even the king of rock and roll wasn't immune to time and nature, and they'd forced difficult conversations about how we preserve the legacies of people we love. Elvis died in 1977, but his story keeps evolving. The scans were just the latest chapter in a saga that began the day a poor kid from Tupelo walked into Sun's studio and changed music forever. 50 years after his death, the world still can't stop talking about him. Still can't stop caring about him. That's the real legacy. Not the grave, but the fact that people still care enough to protect it. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.